All right, we're here today. It's myself, Cord FTW, and Tillifer plays. No, Till plays. And we are sending our thoughts and prayers to the Pokemon game that just came out, Scarlet and Violet. So we're just gonna go over some of the buzz things that have happened in this weekend's launch. So first of all, I guess we've put in a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Let's start off with what are your thoughts
Really,
and
it's a
what's your
couple
thoughts?
hours because we streamed on Friday night
For quite a bit,
for
quite a
quite
bit.
a bit for a very long time, but I think it was only a few hours though, right?
Yeah. Oh, 4 hours.
It was
I
4
think
hours,
the
okay.
time was 4 hours.
And then I played a little bit the following day, but not as
Yeah.
much as I would have liked. And I have not played it today, so like this would be the third day. We're going to stream it tonight, so I haven't
Yeah.
had too much time with it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The
Um I think now that I remember playing Sword and Shield and not really knowing what the candies did, and now that I'm like starting this game and you get candies with the raid dungeons, I'm like, "Oh, this is going to be so easy."
mm. They're
um
essentially like rare candies, right? Are you talking about the experience candies?
yeah, the
Yeah.
experience candies basically. But I feel like our like first initial thoughts, so my initial thoughts on this game is the open world is pretty awesome. I got a lot of feels of Pokemon meets Breath of the Wild,
It's a
kind of.
huge map. Like we've only
It's
explored a little bit.
Yeah, exactly, and which is crazy,
Hmm.
crazy, and it's the things that I like about it. there I feel like there's more pros than there are cons because I feel like everyone knows what the con is. But the the beginning of the adventure and stuff, how you have so many different things to do. You have this huge map, and there's no direct course of action per se, like a general Pokemon game where it's very linear. You go
Hmm.
one town and then you go to the next, and then usually you reach a conflict in the second town. Some uh, team steals something from a scientist, and they get a 12-year-old to go fetch it for them. Is generally the thing. So I feel with this one, they're breaking out of the formula
Yeah.
of the Pokemon games, which is great. And the fact that it's at a school makes it just like everyone's always wanted to go to Hogwarts, let's be honest. And now you kind of get to go to one about Pokemon. And I feel like every adult and child has always wanted something like that, where who would turn down that chance? If someone were to send me a letter and be like, yo, their Pokemon are real, you want to go to a school?
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, fuck yes, sign me up, let's go.
I think I have a few things to say on those points. I'm not
Yeah.
too sure where to start, but
Okay.
the the school aspect, I'll start there. It seems like a majority of our time was spent there, with not
Mhm.
a lot that happened. It was essentially a tutorial
Yeah.
part of the game that was explaining how to do certain things, and if you're a seasoned Pokemon player, you already know most of the stuff. There's even at one
Yes.
point where
Except for Pokeballs.
there's one point where somebody's trying to teach you about Pokeballs, and it was a simple math question. It's like you clearly get was it like 10 Pokeballs or whatever if you spend this amount of money, and they're like, no, because if you spend this, you get an extra Pokeball from the Pokemart, and it's like,
Yeah. Sorry, you're
well,
expelled. You're out of the school. Bye.
like what, do you work for the Pokemart? Like what?
Are
Like
you
I thought
trying
this
to
was
sell me
math.
something right now? This is soliciting.
Can you imagine doing that in school? Like if an apple costs this much money and you have this much money, how do you get it? It's or how many do you get? And you say 10 apples. You're like, oh nope, you forgot that they have a promotion going where if you buy this many, you get a free apple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, this class is stupid. That's not real math.
But yeah, a lot of our time was spent in. I was mashing A, to be honest. I know that I've heard somebody say that doing stuff in the school is important because you get certain things or you learn about certain things. I was
I
mashing
have yet
A.
to experience any of
Yeah,
that.
I was mashing A because mostly I was trying to keep up with you guys because
Yeah.
you were a little bit ahead. But even still, it was a very long time in the school, And I feel
Yeah.
like the school is just a small portion of the game. Again, we haven't played too much, so I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But it's a huge map. The school is in the middle of it, or kind
So
of.
does this my thing with the concept of school, because yeah, it's cool that we have this school, but then they're like, all right, go set out on your adventure. I'm like, I literally had one day at school. And now you're like, and you're done.
Yeah.
Like now you can go and do the challenges. So to me, that kind of doesn't make a lot of sense,
Hmm.
I guess. And like, what am I supposed to go to the gym, get a gym badge, and then go back to school and be like, haha, I've completed this. Teach me now. And then like, so that's where we're at right now, where we've beaten the first gym. So that's for tonight's stream, go back to school and be like, okay, like, is there something else I should be doing? But it's
Hmm.
kind of odd how they're like, yeah, you get to go to school. And I'm like, oh, like, this is sick. And then they're like, now you get to do all these other things. I'm like, so do you own the island? Like, is this a part of our course? Like, where they're like, all right, in order to do the next set of class, you have to have like this many badges. Like, is that the
Well, that's
concept?
that's the other point I was going to get into is that um, the game is a little bit direct. I mean, it is and it isn't directionless. So it's not a traditional Pokemon game where you have a complete path, like you said.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
giving you basically three different things that you can do and telling you what they're about. You know, like there's the Titan path, whatever it's called, where you have to find basically big Pokemon and then take them down, and then you get
Yeah.
stuff out of it. Like I think that's
You
how
get a sandwich.
you get a sandwich. You feed it to your legendary bike Pokemon that you can't
Yeah.
use, but you can ride around on them,
Yeah.
and then they learn special abilities from doing that. So I definitely want to do that because I want my bike to have all the abilities so I can traverse the land. Um,
Uh,
but the let's say for example the gym situation, normally it's there's a first gym, second gym, whereas this one you can kind of pick where you want to go.
but
uh,
how's the leveling system gonna play out
I
for
don't
that,
know. So the one
right?
gym that we did, we went towards the grass gym. The grass gym
Which was
is what I remember in the trailers, and it
yeah.
was close by us, but there was other gyms close by us that we
Yeah, the
could go
bug
to.
gym is on the like if not the same distance, just the other side.
Yeah.
So my thing is, have they, and then again for everyone, like we haven't beaten the game. This is just our first initial thoughts.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how the levels play out. A part of me wants to speculate where maybe they've actually like made it so that it whatever level your Pokemon in it kind of just adds a bunch of levels, and that's
I
the
don't
average
I
for
don't
that
think
gym,
it's
but I
I don't
doubt it.
I don't
I don't
think
think
it's
they're that
scaling.
smart.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
from
I don't think they're that smart.
I think I've heard other people saying how there is not level scaling in this game. So
Yeah.
it's if you're trying to attempt a gym that's too high level,
Then
you're
obviously
you're screwed.
yeah, which you know what I appreciate,
Hmm.
because that stops people from, if it's all the same, and then they can just easily
Yeah.
jump around and do the like scaling, and then you kind of, but that like that they did scaling, then you would kind of be able to make your own path, your own adventure,
Sure.
which
Yeah.
would have been kind of cool. But at the same time, it's like Breath of the Wild, where there could be an area that obviously is very, very tough, but
Hmm.
all you would have like there's no leveling in that game, so it would basically be about like your adaptability and finding equipment to then, survive certain areas. Like I used to sneak into the castle if I wanted the good stuff, and then
Hmm.
I'd sneak back out again and then go do whatever level, but it was one of those things where it didn't matter what level you are. So it'll be interesting going into these areas where then you're like, oh, that's a level 90. I'm like, oh, I better go.
Now
And
I'm
then
not
suddenly you're being aggroed. It's like a Xenoblade Chronicles all over again.
I'm not saying any of that stuff is a good or a bad thing, but it's definitely a stray from what you're used to for a Pokemon game.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I like it, and you know what? I don't know how I really feel about it, but one thing I was wondering while playing last night in that regard was I'm like, what do I do? Because in Sword and Shield, you pull up your map and it's like, here's what you need to do. But this
Yeah.
game is not like that. This game is you can just roam around and do whatever. So you don't have a set path. So it can't
Yeah.
really tell you that like this is the next thing you need to do.
You
Um,
set that for yourself.
yeah, so it's like go explore the world. Here are your three overall goals that you need to complete, and there's different like legends and stuff in the map, so you can kind of guide like, oh, I need to get here, if
Hmm.
that's the object like objective that you want to do. But what would be nice is an objective list, like we've played Temtem recently, and they gave
Yeah.
us objective lists for things that we can do, not like a
And
this is
quests.
the next thing quest. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying
yeah,
to
like
say.
yeah, quest like someone when
Yeah.
you're because it's such a big land,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what Zelda had as well, where
Any
and
RPG.
like yeah, any RPG, yeah, like you're in this big massive land,
Yeah.
and like those trainers. What if
Mm-hmm.
you beat them and then they're suddenly like, oh yeah, like I'm missing my brother, I don't know where he's at. Would you mind finding him for me, and I can give you some like Pokeballs or
Yeah.
whatever the fuck? And I'd be like, yeah, sure, fuck yeah, like you were fucking weak, I'll go find him.
And I mean,
Like,
previous Pokemon games had stuff like little side quests like that before. Like I remember in Sword and Shield, there was that ghost kid that you were trying to
yeah,
find.
that was cool.
Yeah.
But that was like that wasn't even like something that like everyone knew about either.
No,
Like it was just
you had to
something
be
from
like
you
talking to
talking.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It made you want to chat with everyone. So I wonder if that's in here. But then that was like literally one quest.
Yeah.
Just one. And everyone's like, ooh, this spooky thing of sword and shield. And it's like I wish they had more stuff like that. Um, just to like get you to want to explore the area more aside from just looking for Pokemon.
Yeah.
Again, I think they're banking on the fact that again it's Pokemon. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, like everyone wants to see Pokemon." I'm like, "Sometimes no." Like that's like where they failed in previous games where, an example again would be you're going into a new town and then suddenly this scientist is like, "Stop that man. He stole this very
Hmm.
important experiment. You, child, get it for me." And I'm like, "I don't know who the fuck you are. My mom told me not to talk to fucking strangers, and you're one. And you want me to go catch a dude that just stole from you? He could have a weapon. He could have a
Yeah.
weapon." And I have no idea who this person is. I haven't developed a relationship. I'm gonna do my own fucking thing and continue on my quest to be the best Pokemon master there is, and I could care less about your stupid fucking Pokemon. Maybe you should have been watching it better. Why is that my problem? But it's like they force you to do this, and I don't know why. But then
Yeah.
there were times where in Shining Pearl Diamond or whatever, where
Yeah. I already forget the names too.
yeah,
Brilliant,
Shining,
brilliant diamond, shining pearl.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like Shining whatever the fuck. Yeah, Shining Diamond Pearls. So like there's the one kid, Lucas, where throughout the first beginning of the tutorials, he's helping you out. He's kind of your pal. He's really chill, and you're like, wow, he's my buddy. He's helping me out, and he's training me, and he's doing all these great things. Da 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 da. And then suddenly, like halfway through the game, the Team Rocket take his Pokedex, and he's like, they fucking hit me, and they took, they beat me up, and they took my Pokedex, and I was like, what? We have to go get it. And I was like, how dare you touch my friend's shit? Like, and it made me want to go after these guys because I was like, how dare you?
Yeah.
This is my friend. Like, and so it was something that I had built when, with these games that they've kind of just really relied on, like, oh well, it's Pokemon, they're just gonna want to do this. And I'm like, no, not all the time. Like you still have to
Well,
have good writing,
yeah.
you know?
Well, I don't know. You're talking to more NPCs than I am right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes. I like to hear what they say.
uh, but I will say it is nice to have something that's your goal beyond just beat the gyms and get to the Elite Four. Like you do
Yeah.
have other
And Arvin's so
important quests.
mysterious.
Yeah, well, I don't know what's going
Yeah.
on. We got to a point where
Like, what is he doing to that poor Pokemon in that cave? What is he?
Arvin
He's like,
seems
all
like
right, now it's my time. Zzzt. You're like,
yeah.
what's happening?
Now again, I was mashing A little bit, but Arvin seemed like he was a little bit rude when you first meet him, and
Yeah.
then he seems like, hey, we're buddies, we're best friends, whatever. And then there's like they're alluding to him being evil at some point.
Yeah.
So
So
I don't know what's
I'm
going on with it.
intrigued. I am like so, and so this is where I'm hoping that the story of it kind of like makes it better because
Mm.
again we're so fresh off of this and stuff, and I'm really hoping, because with I love the story of Sword and Shield. Like, it just made so much sense, where in order to be a Pokemon master you had to get endorsed, which made sense, because why the fuck would you just have all these 12-year-old kids running around wanting to, because like everyone would want to be a Pokemon master. Maybe that's why there's only two fucking houses in a town, like, because everyone else is off camping. Like,
It's the poor
and
towns.
it's the but yeah, so, and then like even with your rival, Hop, as much as he was an idiot for choosing like the weak character against the one that you chose, I'm like, you fool. But he had his character portrayed as like, having a lot of pressure, like how his brother was the champion, and then he got his ass kicked by Beatty, and then he just fucking gets El Depresso and fucks off, and you're like, oh wow, like, okay. And then he comes back and like just has a really strong team, and you're like, oh shit, okay, so you've improved. That
Hmm.
was a really good character arc. And even with Beatty, that was like like he they had a really interesting character arc, where they were kind of the evil character, but they weren't. But I do miss that rival who is like, smell you later, and just, you know like, isn't trying to be your friend, and basically makes you want to beat the shit out of them, because I feel like that makes a good rival. Like, you can't like your rival, then they're not a rival.
I've
So it'll
never
be the characters that they have in this game
Mhm.
are interesting, like
So
Team
far. Yeah.
Star,
Team
right?
Star, yeah.
They do like the thing or whatever.
I
Like,
still
I
miss
hope
Team Skull.
Team Skull. Oh
What
my
up?
god.
It's battle. Go.
Oh, was that that was Sun and Moon,
I think it
right?
was, yeah. It
Yeah. Okay.
was the best
Never.
part
They
about
were.
that game.
I liked Team Galactic, because then in Arceus, you were in like the Galactic tribe, and I was like, oh my god, are we the drama? Like, are we the bad guys? Because it was a prequel, right?
Yeah.
So when I liked Arceus's story, and there was that twist that I didn't even see coming, and it was epic, and I was like, holy shit. And then I got my ass whooped, and I was like, this is exactly what I wanted a
I did
Pokemon
not
game.
get that far.
Yeah, no, it just threw me off. But then after that, I was like, I just trumped on everyone, and I was like, get out of my way. And then
uh
obviously the after thing is to collect Pokemon, and I'm like, yeah, and
mm,
I'm done this game. You can have it. Therefore,
yeah,
the end.
I didn't find that game that interesting. But I will say that I don't really find the story in pretty much any Pokemon game really that interesting. I don't really play the games for the story because
Gold, man. That one was like pretty basic until you go back and you like relive Red and Blue, and
mhm.
then you face yourself, and that guy doesn't say a thing to you, and it's your team from before, and you're like, oh, this is deep shit right now, and he doesn't have to
Yeah.
say a word for this to hit me in the core, man.
Yeah, it still hasn't, like, even still. I've always been more. I like the world of Pokemon and the idea of
Yeah.
it. I feel like I'm more interested in the implied lore of Pokemon. That's not really spelled out specifically in the dialogue or the story, but you kind of piece it together. Random stuff like Blue's Raticate just disappearing when he's in the Lavender Tower.
Yeah, unimplied storylines,
Yeah,
basically, where you kind of be like, wait.
and there's other stuff in those games too, where it's like, even like the side quest of that ghost kid in Sword and Shield.
Yeah, that
You're
was that
like,
was dark.
what
When it was
happened
just like,
there?
yeah,
You kind of
right?
like piecing stuff together, but like the overall like main stories of these games, I could take them, leave them. I don't really care that much.
Yeah,
I'm
it's all
mostly
I got.
playing. I'm mostly playing the Pokemon games to collect the Pokemon, and just it's like a collecting battling thing. I just find that aspect of the games fun. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm never really like hooked into a story of it in any of these games.
Yeah, there's always but that's the thing, like, it's a game where there's so many different types of gamers that are playing it. So I can see why, like, the story's not really great, and then like this isn't really great, because they're almost kind of catering to all these different types of people.
Hmm.
where it's like the people that want to collect all the Pokemon. So they have to create this wide assortment of things to collect and new Pokemon for you that, all this jazz. And then there's the competitive side that
Mm-hmm.
they also have to consider as well
Yep.
to make sure like, people that are going to be doing a lot of breeding and stuff like that. And then the story for people that just want to go through it and stuff like that, there has to be some sort of a challenge. At least you would hope so. So,
Well, let's get into meat and potatoes of what's going, like what people are actually talking about for this game and the
yes.
reason for this.
Yeah. So, if anyone is living under a rock,
Mm-hmm.
the meat and potatoes of this is basic. Do you want me to share a screen or?
Yeah, I can.
Or
I'll switch over to the YouTube thing. Just give me a moment.
okay.
I was gonna pull up
Yeah,
my
because
game.
the biggest thing that everyone's talking about are the glitches. And I think that's where, I think this game is the cyberpunk of Pokemon. Um, just considering how much, like, just they make so much money from these games and they can't be bothered to put any of it into
Shout out to
like
I don't whose channel is this. We should probably mention that we're
Munching Orange.
yeah we're stealing his content. So
Yeah.
okay, I've seen this glitch. Pinata was doing that glitch.
Oh, was she?
the with the bike like doing like the like on its front wheel, and it was
Oh,
just
I like.
gliding, which is
Were you
funnier
able to
with
see it yourself?
yeah. I don't know if I recorded that one. I can check, but yeah, doing this glitch right here is on its front legs, I guess, but it wasn't actually
Yeah.
on the ground. It was just floating. I thought she was
I
doing
only
that.
rode over 10 seconds.
Yeah, I thought she was doing that intentionally. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah,
How do you
like,
do
oh, watch
that?
this.
And then
Yeah, right.
I
It's
then I
something that they
realized
learn.
I was realized that oh, it's a glitch.
Yep. Yep. That's not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So far, like in my own game, I've only I don't like this person obviously is possessed by a ghost,
Hmm.
a ghost Pokemon that's tormenting their body and should be exercised as like soon as possible. Um, but I think like it's just like the choppiness
Yeah.
is probably the worst. And then but that was something that was in Arceus or whatever,
Yep.
where like, it's just and it's just oh my god. The shoe just fucking fell to
I've
its
seen
death.
I've seen a on these bridges actually on the roofs. I've seen TikToks. Somebody's Fuecoco was just walking along and then he just drops from like a high height. Like oh
Dead.
no,
He's just dead.
yeah. I've seen glitches like
Yeah.
this. I've seen somebody like glitch onto an island they can't escape
I
from,
feel like yeah, it's also one of these things where
fall
like
through the
sometimes
world.
these
Yeah.
yeah, I've seen that. Like some of these glitches are people that like go out of their way to try and find, but at the same time like shouldn't the quality assurance people be like already looking into this and making sure?
So
Or like yeah, even
the thing I've read online is like people asking like why don't you delay these games? Like why don't you take more time into it? And I think that
we're the
the
problem. The day one people, us. We're the problem. I'm the problem, it's me.
yeah there's that, but also the time frame of it where they have to release these coincide with merchandise and the anime and all that other
Yes.
stuff that has to like tie into each other. So they're what sucks is this is the biggest franchise in the world,
Yeah.
and they're in a crunch period. I don't know what the development work is like. Like I don't know
Yeah.
if they're in a bad working environment like other developers that we discuss regularly on our main podcast.
Yeah.
But like what I'm trying to say is that there is a crunch there because
Yeah.
there is a specific time frame that they need to do this, and it's the biggest franchise in the world from a that you know the budget for this comes from not only the Pokemon company itself from merchandise and stuff, but Nintendo as a publisher. Why is the team still so small? Now
Yeah.
I get like they want to keep it that small because there's like some sort of aspect on it on making these games. And I can respect
We're
that.
a family.
But yeah, I feel like there comes a point where like even as a company who wants to like cut costs and
Yeah.
and be like we can still manage to put out these games with paying as little people as possible,
Yeah.
and still maximizing the profits. And again, we're the problem. We're the ones who buy these games day one.
Yeah.
So we're proof that they don't need to spend more on more workers when they don't need to. But
Yeah.
the quality of the game does suffer, and it's a bad look when all this happens. This is definitely the worst. Not I wouldn't say like in terms of how it looks, because I think Arceus was worse, but for graphical and performance issues in general, this is the worst Pokemon game.
I think
Um,
this one's worse, yeah.
yeah. So
Than because Arceus, like as much as it was an open world, it had sections that you would load into, which I felt like kind of
yeah,
like like helped the load of the game to kind of
it wasn't
make
breaking
like
stuff in Arceus though. Like Arceus just looked bad.
yeah.
Like this
Yeah,
game
like
not only looks bad, there's serious problems with it from
yeah,
a
like
gameplay perspective.
I'm very much when it comes to the way things look, it to me I'm like there's an artistic thing to it, but I'm like
Hmm.
if you can wait with like fucking what was it? Like Breath of the Wild wasn't the most realistic looking thing, but it was so artistically done with the graphics and stuff
Hmm.
that it just all flowed together so it looked great. And so like to me, I'm like, okay, it's a Pokemon game. It's like, the anime and stuff like that. Like, so it's cartoony. So it does like the graphics, but then there's just like, yeah, the white lines around everything. Just and then all these glitches and just
Which isn't so bad in this
it's
game. I don't notice white lines as much, but it was horrible in Arceus.
yeah. But even like even when you're in close proximity to something and it's still going
Yeah,
because in
you,
Arceus you were far away and you would watch like,
there's that
Gyarados
draw
just chopping in and
distance.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah, and like with this one it's just like
but I'm saying
it's immediate.
like that can be resolved. Like everybody's saying, oh, the Switch can't handle this game. The Switch can handle this game. The
Yeah, the
the
Switch can handle like The Witcher, it can fucking handle a Pokemon fucking game.
they just need to expand their team. They need more people on this for quality control. This is a
Yeah.
team that's been small ever since Game Boy games. This isn't a
Yeah.
Game Boy anymore. They're making a gigantic, again, the map is huge. They're making a
Yeah.
gigantic open world on a home console. So
Yeah.
they need they need to expand the team and have better quality control. And now
Yeah.
I'm a I'm one to say graphics don't matter for Pokemon games. People are gonna buy them, whatever. But this does become a problem when you have this stuff because it's
Yeah.
a
It
performance
takes you
issue
out of
at
the
that
game
point.
too. Takes you out of the game
Yeah,
too. Like it's just like even that whole like, getting those like sunflower Pokemon, um it was like the fact that they were so choppy made me like it'd be like, "Oh, I just want to get this done and over with."
yeah.
Like they're just like it just pulls you out, or even the scene where you're in class could have been like a really endearing where you're like, oh yeah, this is exciting, I'm in class, but then everyone's a robot. They're like
Yeah.
with their legs, and I'm
But
like
even that, like,
it's so
I'm
noticeable.
overlooking that because like the stuff like that does not affect the gameplay. It's just it does affect taking you out of the game for sure.
Yeah.
And again, they're focusing on the goddamn trees. The trees are the
Yeah.
number one thing that annoys me. Again, I don't care how the trees look,
Yeah.
and even how this stuff looks, right? And this is really bad. This character like
Just
spinning around,
freaking the
yeah,
fuck out.
and so
Oh no! Like there's they should incorporate a storyline to this where they're like something's in the water.
yeah. But my issue is when it comes to a gameplay and performance perspective, when you have things like your character falling out of the world or you getting stuck somewhere you can't leave,
Yeah.
that's when that's an issue.
Yeah.
So like for the most part, a lot of the stuff I can overlook. I'm like, yeah, it looks bad, yeah, whatever, but I can laugh at it and say I'm still having fun playing a Pokemon game because I don't really care. But
Yeah.
what my concern is, and I always play Pokemon games with autosave off. That's just how I've always played Pokemon games, so I'm going to shut autosave off. But I feel like this game is a prime example of why you want to have autosave off.
Yep.
Because
Yeah. Just
because
in
if something
case.
happens, you might get screwed. And
This man just walks right through their
yeah.
bat. Like, sir, do you not realize that we're battling here? You could get hurt. I like now, to be honest, I haven't seen any of this
Yeah,
in
me
my
neither.
own game.
Me
A
neither.
part of me almost feels like because this game got leaked, like people were able to actually get this game like a week ahead.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if this is like that pre-release where like it was because it was a jank version of the game that and then people are now posting.
This one says November 18th, so that would have been on launch
No, but
day.
I'm talking about like that
Mm.
like they're clipping these and then they're posting them on the like launch day because anyone can just like be like,
Right,
hey, I'm gonna
right. Yeah, yeah.
wait
That's true.
and then post these because obviously they wouldn't be able to post them any
Yeah,
sooner
embargoes, yeah.
because then people would be like, well, how'd you get the game, right?
Yeah.
So it's I mean, but this dude
Do
just
you
he don't
think
care who's there.
I don't think this game gets patched unless
People are saying that it is
I
that
I
they're making a patch, but I'm
I
like,
doubt it. I feel like this is the one game where Game Freak's gonna be
yep.
like, well, maybe we should patch this game, but
Yeah,
but for the most part, I don't think they need to because like we're still gonna sell it. People are still gonna buy it, whatever. But I feel like if anything, we'll probably see a patch for the first DLC.
T-pose. Yeah. Hopefully, but from what I actually maybe I'll just pull it up, but it's like I've heard that they're making a patch for it. Um,
These ones are just hilarious. I'm sorry. Like
right?
if I come across that stuff where a character's just like
Clip it.
yeah, I'm like, all right, that's hilarious. But like even stuff like this. But like if you like clip through a wall, you fall through the world, your game just gets broken. That's when I have a problem.
Yeah. There's the first update for Pokemon Legends of Arceus was a little over a week after the game was released. While the game didn't have any performance issues like Scarlet and
Hmm.
Violet, it did have a
Okay.
few glitches and bugs that were patched out. Yeah, so they do patch it. It's just yeah, so I think they've already kind of scheduled like when they're going to do the first patch update.
That's good. That's
Um
good to hear.
yeah, yeah, right? But to me, I'm like, did everyone forget about Cyberpunk? Like
That's a
you
different
know.
issue though. Cyberpunk is not
No,
Game
I
Freak
know,
owned
I
by
know, I know.
Nintendo.
That's why I almost feel like it's where yeah, it's I again, I would love to be a part of a gaming company to understand what goes into like releasing these games and the time crunch. And I feel like there is a lot more pressure when it comes to Pokemon games because of yeah, like the anime. Like they have to keep up to the anime. Like even when I was collecting Pokemon cards, it was so hard to keep up with the different waves. And then now the Silver Tempest is the last one for the Sword and Shield because now that Scarlet and Violet is out, this is the whole new wave, a whole new set of Pokemon cards. And I'm just like, and I'm over it. Like,
Right.
and it's just, it makes it so difficult to try and keep on it. Oh, did you take a video?
I did.
How do you
What?
record?
There's a button on your Joy-Con that does that. That's been there
It's
since
the
day
screenshot
one.
button?
Yeah.
Oh, do you hold it?
Yeah, you hold it.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, I just do screenshots. Good to know.
I'm wondering
5
where
years later.
I'm wondering where all my other screenshots went, but I guess they're on my SD card. I didn't know they get saved there because I upgraded my SD card, so I'm guessing all my other
Oh.
screenshots and stuff are missing. So yeah, apparently there's only a couple that I took. I thought I took more. Um, but this is just Kiri just floating in the air when she was in a
Kiri,
battle.
what are you doing up there?
And then here's I don't remember what this is. Um, yeah.
Master Till to the director's
I don't
office,
I don't
please.
I don't remember what this is.
Is it Psyduck in the background losing his shit?
Oh yeah, the Pokeball. There's just a Pokeball floating there.
Oh yeah. You're like,
Yeah.
what? Oh my god.
Yeah. So I don't know if that.
See
And you could see the frame rate of
the birds
the
in the
birds in the
background. Why are there
background.
birds in the? Why are there even birds in there?
Yeah.
What are
That's a
they
good
doing?
question.
Yeah. Or oh man, I wish I took a video, but like it was when I was in the classroom and then there was just a poof. And I was like, did someone get here by magic? By apparition? Did someone use the foolproof or like the chimneys like in Harry Potter? Is this
Yeah,
Hogwarts? We're
the
actually in
Flu Network.
Hogwarts. Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
say I
But
haven't been experiencing most of these um like game breaking stuff or like crazy visual issues that a lot of
yes.
people have been seeing. But there's a lot of frame rate issues. There's a lot of just things not loading or working right. And the textures are really bad. I will say I think I like the look of Sword and Shield more than Scarlet and
Yeah.
Violet, and the performance for sure.
Yeah.
But it's Scarlet and Violet is still leagues above Arceus for me. Arceus was
Yeah.
just like, it was just not finished at all. It felt like in early stages of the game.
Now, do you think that as more Pokemon games follow this style and come out, do you think it's going to get eventually better?
I would hope so, but I
Yeah,
feel like
because
they need to learn
like the
from,
fucking windmill.
yeah,
Like that, it's just like it just throws you out of the game when you turn. You're like, oh, you see this town like lit up at night, and then you,
even the people walking in the background, like,
yeah, it's like you know what? Maybe this is the Matrix having a glitch, and we're about to fall into and at end game is taking the red pill or blue pill. Who knows?
yeah,
Um, but it's just like, and that's a part of me feels that because Arceus was its brand new thing, this whole different thing that they're like, all right, this is how we're going to be doing games. And then Scarlet and Violet are the first ones that they have done within the same, because obviously Arceus was different of its own story and how you play it and stuff like that. But and then Scarlet and Violet are kind of back to the basics, but of this brand new style that they're still working out what's working and what's not. Because Sun and Moon was great because it had the pieces, like you would load into certain areas,
at different islands.
yeah, at different islands and stuff like that, and like and so it allowed the game to kind of load in and be functional, you
Yeah,
know. So it's yeah, or you're playing it right now. It's just like,
I
wow,
am
this is
playing
a
it.
really long video.
Yeah, yeah, I'm playing it right now. This is live. I was
Yeah,
seeing if the Sunflora are still around, but I think they're gone.
the sun's not out. Obviously, they're not there. Oh, well, there's one.
There's multiple.
Yeah, but
Also,
oh, they're sleeping.
yeah.
See, because the sun's not out.
So we can't see them glitch out,
Like,
I guess.
yeah,
And
and
look,
that's
that
and
guy right
it's
there.
just the movement. Like, it's so bad. Like, and to me, like that throws me out of the game when
um,
you just like kind of
yeah.
see that like that it not flowing, and you're just kind of like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm just playing this fucking game.
Overall, though, is it a big issue for you?
I
It's
feel
like,
it does it hurts me physically. Like because I love Pokemon and Sword and Shield was one of my favorite ones.
hmm
And then to see this and to just not be immersed in it like the
hmm
way I was with Zelda and stuff. It's just it it sucks. Um but when I'm in the wild air like I'm in the areas with the Pokemon and I'm running around trying to find stuff and it kind of it does help, but my final thoughts and prayers is that I hope the patch corrects a lot of this shit and that it becomes old news.
I'm not, uh, game performance and stuff like that aside, which is a huge problem. I'm not that upset about it as everybody else is.
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever. I've seen glitches in games before. Definitely not this bad, to be fair, but it's not taking enough away from me out of my experience of liking a Pokemon game. I'm still
Yeah.
enjoying Scarlet and Violet. I'm playing Scarlet. Um,
I'm playing Violet.
it's fun so far. I like exploring the world. The Terrasilize feature is
Tantalizing.
uh
They've tantalized.
I feel like the a lot of people hate the quote unquote gimmicks of these new Pokemon games. But I liked the Dynamax Gigantamax thing for Sword and Shield.
Same.
And I think this is While I wish they kind of carried over to this game, I like how they're handling it in this game, and the terrestrialize feature is unique enough and interesting enough where I do like it
Yeah. It
in a
creates
different way.
more, yeah, like it's one of those things where it you have to really think of the skill,
Yeah,
where like, with the suiduiduidu or whatever, uh suiduiduiduiduido, where you don't know what they're gonna tantalize into. And so now you're kind of guessing as to what they're like. They're not just ground, so what are they going to also be? And it'll create, I don't know, it's going to be interesting to kind of see
hmm
how the fights kind of play out, because now you're not only having to go into it with just like fire type Pokemon in a grass gym.
yeah.
You have to have it reminds me of Pokemon Revolution, where
Really?
like, yeah, well, remember I got my ass handed to me by Blaine. I literally went in there with water Pokemon and he had Thunder Fang
For
on
those
all of his.
who don't show up to our streams, our own individual streams, there's a fan made online MMO game called Pokemon Revolution Online,
Yeah.
where you can play online with other people. Free to play if you want to check it out.
Yes. It's very good if you want a challenging Pokemon game like that. It's definitely awesome. But yeah, like Blaine, like I went into it with water type Pokemon to be like, I'm gonna whoop your ass, and then he just like doused me with fucking Lightning Fang
Mm.
or Thunder Fang or whatever, and I was like, how is
Yeah,
this fair? But then it's like, obviously I can't just go into a gym being like, oh, it's fire. Okay, I'm just going to bring water. It's like, no, like I have to make sure I have a well-rounded team
mm.
to make sure I can combat anything that's thrown back at me, and I shouldn't just assume that it's just fire based. So I appreciate that kind of process.
Yeah,
So
and it's interesting. So, like, just to expand on that, it's a new type of strategy you got to have for Pokemon,
yeah,
where they're like, okay, everybody's used to the typing combinations now and what you need for offense, defense, for type combinations and stuff like that. But then they just add a twist, like, what if this Pokemon is just it's the exact same Pokemon, but it's a different type? And it changes things. Like we had like just the Sudowoodo, for example. It's a grass gym leader, so you're
spoilers, by the way.
expecting.
If
Yeah,
anyone
well, it's
hasn't
like
done the grass
it's the
gym yet,
first gym, and they show it in the trailer, so it's not
yeah.
really a spoiler.
If
Um,
it is, then where have you been living? Under a rock.
but they show the Sudowoodo in the trailer, and so you're going against a grass gym leader. You're expecting grass types. Sudowoodo is not a grass type, and he's not that. It's not a regional variant. He's still the same Sudowoodo, so it's a rock type completely, but because
Mhm.
it's a terrestrialized form is grass, it's the same Pokemon that's attacking with the same moves, but defensively it's a grass type. And it does have a grass offensive move too, because they got the special terrestrialized move
Yeah,
that
the
they
Trailblazer.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now you got to consider, like, instead of like preparing for a grass gym, now you're preparing for a rock type Pokemon that knows rock moves,
Yeah.
but you're trying to attack it as a grass type. So, like, defensively, it's a grass type. Offensively, it's a grass type and a rock type. So you gotta have like the right Pokemon combination for that. So like you can't just so what's rock weak against? Like you can't just have like a water
Like,
Pokemon
yeah.
that you can send out against Sudowoodo like you normally would.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna hit you because it's a grass type, so it's gonna be resistant to water, and it's gonna have that grass move that's attacking you. So it's different.
Yeah.
And the terrestrialized raids are the
Exactly.
same way, where we had a Murkrow show up, and
And it was a
Murkrow's
Dragon
yeah,
Dark.
it was a
Yeah.
it was just
Dragon
well
Dark type.
yeah, dragon type, but it had dark moves and stuff. So
Yeah.
like you can't just go, okay, this is a Murkrow, I'm gonna send out my
Like
electric
fairy
type or
type
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, you gotta prepare for the dragon type uh defense. So it's very interesting. I do like that part of the game.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It yeah. Yeah. It's like you have to kind of think of different, like you can't just be straight forward where yeah, fire is weak against this. I'm gonna bring this. Like no, because what if it has a tantalizing effect that's different? Sorry, that's how I say. I'm like, what is it? Tyrannicizing or uh
Terastallizing. Yes, it is a stupid name.
terastallizing? Terastallizing. That's why I call it tantalizing, because tantalizing just sounds so much better. But yeah, so those are our thoughts and prayers. So hopefully it gets better. Yeah. And yeah, so that's all for today. And then we're going to be streaming tonight, and hopefully we can
Not by the
see what
time you see
comes of
this
this game.
video. Will have
Not by the time,
already
yeah.
streamed.
This will be old news, but these are our opinions thus
Yep.
far.
There's our own individual channels. You can follow us individually.
Yes,
If you
Court
check
FTW.
if you check
Check
out
out my
our
channel.
Linktree link down in the description below, it will have all of our links there.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks for joining me for my thoughts and prayers. Our thoughts and prayers.
Of course.